Welcome to SVG TV News for Monday, January 9th, 2023. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. The third session of the 11th Parliament was declared open today by Governor-General Her Excellency Dame Susan Duggan as she delivered a throne speech ahead of the 2023 National Budget presentation. Her Excellency says 2022 was a year of mixed blessings as we mourn the loss of loved ones, including Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II on September 8, 2022, which marked the end of an era.
We were first-hand witnesses to history in the accession of His Majesty King Charles III to the British throne following the 70-year reign of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth. As members of the Commonwealth of Nations and the global community, we congratulate His Majesty and express best wishes to him. Madam Speaker, the challenges of the recent past have reminded many of us of our own mortality and the ever-changing landscapes of our lives. They also impress upon us the need to live even closer to God and in greater love and unity with other persons. In the process, we must resolve to devote ourselves more earnestly to the care of all who depend on us and also commit to safeguarding and improving our own health and well-being. Whether in the midst of adversity or celebration, the intrepid and indomitable Vincentian spirit prevails, firmly anchored in our unflagging faith.
Despite the challenges with the recovery of the COVID-19 pandemic, the explosive eruptions of La Soufrière volcano, Hurricane Elsa, and the knock-on effects of global turmoil, the Governor-General says the country still manages to record remarkable successes in 2022.
We celebrated the return of important elements and expressions of Vincentian life and culture, including Vinci Mass and 9 Mornings. Various sectors of the economy are showing strong signs of recovery, including the tourism sector. This is evident in almost daily cruise ship calls at Port Kingstown. The statistics also reflect steady increases in visitor arrivals, a trend that is expected to continue in this fiscal period. There are 313 cruise ship calls scheduled for the 2022-2023 season, 12 of which are inaugural visits. The projected total of 325,000 cruise ship passengers represents a 40% increase over the 2019-2020 figures. Madam Speaker, my government intends to implement plans to foster the growth of this important sector to meet and exceed pre-pandemic levels. One aspect of the development plans involves increasing the number of available hotel rooms. The development of St. Vincent and the Grenadines as a prime tourism destination will take place in tandem with sustained efforts to protect and to safeguard our natural environment, heritage and cultural resources, even as we maximize the benefits to be derived from them.
Her Excellency also noted that the government remains accurately aware that natural disasters and other disruptive occurrences have the potential to increase existing vulnerabilities and derail the gains made over the last 2 decades in the fight against poverty and social inequality.
This awareness has informed the ongoing response and recovery from the pandemic, volcanic eruptions, and other adverse events of recent times. The resultant programs have been successfully implemented with several expected expected to continue during 2023. Including among these is the World Bank-funded Volcanic Eruption Emergency Project, VEEP, which has assisted 4,000 low-income households from the red, orange, and yellow volcanic hazard zones. The distribution to affected individuals and families of reloadable bank cards has added a refreshing, modern, and empowering feature to the social protection landscape. It has also imbued the process with greater recognition and affirmation of the dignity of recipients. This initiative will be extended to other aspects of the social protection system, including the older and the more established public assistance and related programs. This very important work will receive appropriate attention in 2023. The empowerment of the vulnerable will be pursued through the implementation of a number of skills training programs. These include the Family Life Education Life Skills Program and the Family Support Grant Project in collaboration with the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, and the World Bank.
The Governor General says support will continue to persons affected by disasters, victims of abuse and violence, teen mothers, at-risk youth, and persons who have served prison sentences, which will take the form of income support, counseling, skills training, and the provision of employment opportunities through self-employment, entrepreneurship, and other measures. Meanwhile, Minister of Finance, Economic Planning and Technology, Camila Gonzalez, is at this time presenting in Parliament the 2023 budget. In December, Parliament approved the estimates of revenue and expenditure for the fiscal year 2023, totaling 1.4 billion EC dollars, which represents an 8.8% increase over the approved budget for 2022. In his presentation of the budget this afternoon, Minister Gonzalez says 2023 has been greeted with fresh hope in that we have withstood the worst of the COVID-19 pandemic. The catastrophic explosive eruptions of La Soufrière volcano will not bother us for decades to come, and hope that we can navigate the next hurricane season as we have the last one without significant damage or loss of life.
More than that, we are filled with fresh hope that tomorrow will be better than yesterday, that the trials of disease and fiery cataclysm have forged us into a stronger nation, that we are on a road that leads from recovery to resilience and beyond, to accelerated development, increased opportunity, and environmental sustainability in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. But like faith, hope without real work is dead. Budget 2023 is the work plan that twins the fresh hope of our post-pandemic, post-volcano past with the projects and programs that are necessary to accelerate St. Vincent and the Grenadines' transformative journey along the road to resilience. Budget 2023 builds upon the fresh initiatives of 2022 that were important catalysts of our recovery. As we look beyond mere recovery to a year of robust growth and meaningful development, Budget 2023 harnesses the propulsive energy of ongoing investments in Vincentian ingenuity to lift St. Vincent and the Grenadines higher.
Noting that there has never been a problem that could defeat hope and faith, Minister Gonzalez says Budget 2023 is an optimistic and ambitious plan to place St. Vincent and the Grenadines squarely on the road from recovery to resilience and a blueprint for sustainable people-centered development.
In both 2021 and 2022, we confounded the skeptics and beat the economists' predictions. Our economy shrank less and grew more than the experts thought possible. By the end of last year, we rebounded to 2019 levels of production based on a strong record of accomplishment and promises kept. This record of fulfilled promises included constructing replacement houses at Orange Hill and repairing over 900 homes in the aftermath of the volcanic eruptions. Constructing Georgetown Coastal Defense, a multi-million-dollar coastal protection project aimed at safeguarding lives and livelihoods with X-block revetments, reinforced concrete walls, and footpaths along 1,274 meters of seafront. Distributing 47 housing units at Lomans Bay to families and at a cost of $4.8 million to accommodate the construction of the modern port in Kingstown. Rehabilitating the Barley Anglican, Barley Government, and St. Vincent Grammar Schools as a precursor to works on the St. Clair Dakin, Kingstown Anglican, Thomas Saunders, Girls High, and Beckway Community High Schools. Completing the important Long Line Road, which provides vehicular access between the communities of Cools Hill and Rose Hall. Providing over $25 million in income support to persons affected by the pandemic and the volcano through various entities and programs, the most comprehensive package of support to vulnerable Vincentians in the history of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
And in the news now, we hear that close to 100 employees of James Archibald Designs or Jad Mustique Limited are now jobless following the announcement of dissolution and liquidation of the company on January 3rd this year. Jad Mustique Limited claims that the dissolution and liquidation of the company is due to the political and economic climate in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. This statement has not been taken lightly by Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, who on radio yesterday said that the statement maligns St. Vincent and the Grenadines, while noting that close to $4 million in taxes is owed by the company.
I don't usually know a person's tax status unless a matter comes before me to do something, like in this particular case, to deal with a particular application on his behalf, on behalf of the company. So don't come on my line, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and say the political and economic situation. I don't know what that means. But insofar as the Mustique company was concerned, I have been in touch with the Mustique company on an ongoing basis in relation to this matter. There are more details I can give, but I'm just providing for the purposes of the gentleman who called. And in the light of what Mr. Archibald, his company, had written publicly to malign St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I thought that I should put some core facts on the table.
The Prime Minister is of the view that the Inland Revenue Department was too lenient with the company.
Relevant information came to me by the end of 2020, where Mr. Archibald's tax liability was humongous, close to $4 million on various range of taxes. And I wrote this to the Cabinet Secretary. In respect of this application, I will not give favorable consideration to Mr. Archibald's application for citizenship until he liquidates his company's indebtedness to the tax authorities in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. His company flagrantly ignores its obligation to pay VAT, which is already collected by him on behalf of the government. His company owes PAYE, which is also trust monies collected on behalf of the government. The memo from the Comptroller of Inland Revenue speaks towards his initiation of arrangements to resolve his tax indebtedness. Let him resolve them. I consider that Inland Revenue is lenient on him. The matter probably should be put before the DPP, the Director of Public Prosecution, But that is a judgment call of the controller, not me.
PM Gonzalez said he is confident that the affected workers would be employed by companies in Mustique.
GAD would have left the Mustique homeowners whom they had work doing in a lurch. Not only the workers, but very importantly the workers. They left them in a lurch. Like for instance, 38 of them are employed in cleaning swimming pools. Well, the swimming pools have to be cleaned. You understand what I mean, Cecil?
Of course.
So either those persons are going to be asked back. I believe they'll be given the first opportunity. Or if they don't want to go back, they will get other Vincentian workers to go and do it. But hopefully these very workers, same thing in relation to those who are involved in construction.
The Prime Minister said that any liability to the state would be paid, as he expects that Jad Mustique should have an escrow account. And lawyer Jomo Thomas, who is representing 41 of the former employees, said the company fooled him into believing that they were going to pay the workers.
We were given the impression we were actually fooled because there was an understanding that Jad would pay the workers for overtime monies going all the way back to 2017. Incidentally, they should have paid overtime money going all the way back to 2008. But when I got onto the case, some workers had agreed for 2017, so we agreed that we'd go from 2017. And we were told by Jad management that they were doing the accounting, and they would come up with a number and they would pay. And to press their case, the workers struck one day, and I was asked to speak to the workers. I took the word of the lawyers and Maximilian Archibald that they would pay. And the workers went back to work. They struck for less than 3 hours.
Thomas, who started representing the workers for about a month now, said that Jad Mustique owes about $2 million to workers and that the management knew what they were doing to get away with not paying the workers.
The first understanding was that they would pay a part payment by December 16th. December 16th came and went, they did not pay. Then they said they would pay before Christmas. Christmas came and went, and they did not pay. In fact, Maximilian Archibald left the country on December 16th. Christmas came, they did not pay. And then, early in the new year, we saw this statement in which they claimed that the economic situation, COVID, and the strike from the workers brought a crisis of confidence in the investors, and they had not paid the money. It's a canard. It's nonsense. These guys, if I am to understand what the workers said, were preparing to leech the company, to do all that they wanted to do, to take all of the assets out of the company. Because some of my clients told me that Maximilian Archibald said that the only thing we have in Mustique are a few computers.
Meanwhile, Thomas says government should take the blame for the way Jad Mustique has left its workers jobless. He based his argument on the fact that another investor left its workers in a similar situation years ago.
This company at one time had owed $4 million in taxes. $4 million. You know why that struck me as amazing? Because just a few years back, another company, the Bookman Beach Resort, and the company that owned that resort owed millions of dollars. So this government is evidently sleeping on the watch. How could a foreign concern, David Ames's concern, run away with millions of dollars, and you allow another foreign concern to not only not pay PAYE, not pay VAT, and these are monies they're taking out from workers. Not pay PAYE, not pay VAT, not pay NIS to the tune of millions of dollars. And you know why this is really horrible? I happen to know that this government tax department goes after small Vincentian business people with a vengeance. And this company owes millions of dollars. And when you listen to the Prime Minister says, oh, they had applied for citizenship and that's how I found out. It's nonsense. These guys are sleeping on the watch. They're the most anti-labor administration going under the guise of labor because they claim to be unity labor.
The lawyer says it is unfortunate that the Vincentian workers were taken for granted.
These guys, it's horrible. And I put this at the feet of the government. So this notion that they can get another job, yeah, they can get it. There's a lot of work. This company, Jad, had 12 different construction that they were doing. 12. So there is a lot of work there. So they may get a job someplace else. But what happened to their holiday pay? What happened to their severance? How are you? You know, Eric Williams said of the British one time that the British, when they came to the Caribbean, he likened the Caribbean to an orange. And the British, Eric Williams said, former Prime Minister of Trinidad, had sucked the orange dry. And the only thing they were trying to avoid now is to step on the orange peel and fall. That's what Maximilian and his dad did. That's what they did. Sucked these workers, skilled workers, to build exclusive, exquisite houses for people with a lot of money.
Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves has called on the U.S. government to do more to reduce the easy access to guns and the exportation of guns from the USA to Latin America and Caribbean countries. A news release from the Agency for Public Information said, speaking today on Star Radio's Morning School program, PM Gonsalves decried the proliferation of guns manufactured in the United States and violence associated with the illicit drug trade as the main causes of a high murder rate in some Latin American and Caribbean countries, noting that St. Vincent and the Grenadines has the fourth lowest suicide rate in the world, which currently stands at 1 per 100,000. PM Gonsalves rubbish claims that murders in St. Vincent and the Grenadines are linked to increased frustration among Vincentians. The Prime Minister said 7 of the 10 countries with highest homicide rates per 100,000 in the world are from Latin American and Caribbean countries, and the common factor that is consistent among them is the hundreds of firearms connected to the drug trade, noting that it is not frustration but greed. He called for an all-society approach to stem the rise in illegal and other criminal activities. The Prime Minister, who is also Minister of National Security, also called on the local police service and the legal system to buttress their presence on the ground to increase police visibility, to collect intelligence and to act on the intelligence they collect. The Prime Minister also cited a draft resolution by Mexico titled Special Declaration on the Fight Against Illicit Arms Trafficking for discussion at the next Community of Latin American and Caribbean States CELAC meeting in Buenos Aires, Argentina on January 24th, 2023.
Heads of state and government of Latin America and the Caribbean meeting in Buenos Aires, Argentina, on the occasion of the 7th Summit of the Community of Latin America and the Caribbean, CELAC, on the 24th of January 2023. Acknowledge that while the region represents 8% of the world's population, it experiences 37% of the world's homicides, mostly caused by firearms that have been manufactured or distributed in the United States.
and then traffic in the region.
And Commissioner of Police Colin John said God continues to be the head or lead in the RSVG Police Force crime-fighting efforts. Commissioner John, who was at the time addressing a Thanksgiving service at the Wilson Hill New Testament Church of God on Sunday, said the RSVG Police Force has already started putting things in place to mitigate the crime situation in the country, as they are hoping to reduce the crime rate this year.
Patrols, intel gathering, crime prevention measures. But we are aware that despite our best effort, we cannot do it without the help of the Almighty God. God is integral in our crime-fighting efforts. He is not aside. It's not as if when you go to Bistone and you order lobster and they show you the side and they say, well, okay, you want potato salad, or you want rice, or you go to 4 shells and they give you one of the big snappers and you ask if you want steamed veg or you want green salad. God is like the shrimp in the shrimp pasta. It's integral to our existence and our crime-fighting effort as the Royal St. Vincent and Grenadines Police Force. So we have to ensure that we put him first, and hence the reason why we are here.
Speaking on some of the challenges they face, Commissioner John asks that the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines continue to pray for the police.
We have a firm belief in God. We recognize the importance of God, and we hold on to his promises. The year 2022 was a somewhat challenging year for the Royal St. Vincent and Grenadines Police Force. We saw a record in the homicide to 42. Prior to that, it was 40. It is not something that we are proud of. It's something that we are very cognizant of. The Royal St. Vincent and Grenadines Police Force think that God is integral in our crime-fighting effort, and hence we are putting our best foot forward for 2023, and we really ask persons to continue to pray for us, continue to give us the support, and help us as an organization to make St. Vincent and the Grenadines a safer place.
Before the church service, officers marched from the Central Police Station, turned left onto Halifax Street, then right into Pearls Avenue en route to the church. The Thanksgiving service forms part of the RSVG Police Force calendar of events for 2023. In other news now, we hear that the Carnival Development Corporation has finally paid off winners of Vincy Mass 2022, 6 months after the hosting of the event and days after one of its soccer artists spoke out on non-payments. As we hear in this report, moving forward, the CDC says it will be carrying out a study on the economic impacts of Vincy Mass.
Prizes were given out to persons in different components of Vincy Mass 2022 amounting to some 380,000 EC dollars. Winners also received their checks. Speaking at the prize-giving ceremony at the Victoria Park, Chief Executive Officer of the Carnival Development Corporation, Ricardo Adams, says the total prize monies ranged between 580 to 600,000 EC dollars, but some payments had already been made.
What we did, we took what would have ordinarily been the prize monies for the masquerade, and we divided it up equally among the member bands who were participating, and they have actually received more than 80% of their appearance fees already.
Meanwhile, the CDC CEO revealed that more than 200,000 EC dollars was spent on music bands on the road in the 2022 Vincy Mass. On the positive side, the CDC raked in 100,000 EC dollars at the gate for the Miss SVG pageant, which was held in October 2022.
We had one of the largest turnouts. So notwithstanding the challenges, we were very happy to report that in terms of the persons turning out and the gate receipts, we were very pleased with the Miss SVG.
Adams notes that hosting Vincy Mass is an expensive event, and an analysis of the economic benefits will be carried out through a study.
One of the things that we are doing is we are commissioning a study during the course of this year on the economic impact of Vincy Mas in terms of its cost versus its benefit to the nation of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
National Lotteries Authority contributes $2 million annually to CDC, and its chairman, Maury Bullock, is urging the CDC to find innovative ways of generating income to keep SVG's Carnival alive.
CDC operates a lottery booth that is doing very well, and I encourage them to perhaps get involved in 2 or 3 more in critical areas so that you can increase your income.
The Prime Minister, who says he helped in drafting the laws for CDC's operation, maybe it's time for some amendments to be made.
But I will say that to the extent that we should have amendments or any alterations, we must not make those alterations such as to empower further the CDC in relation to certain matters.
The Prime Minister also cautioned the CDC in handling matters of complaints.
I understand this or that component has some gross. Well, I'll be surprised if you don't have complaints. But don't allow those complaints to turn you into a Taliban. No. We deal with those complaints reasonably and rationally.
Last week, the CDC came under criticism from soca artist Darren Magical Rouse for not updating them on non-payment 6 months after the hosting of Vincy Mas 2022. The soca artist, who placed 3rd in the Soca Monarch competition, was not on hand to collect his prize. Winner of Soca and Raga Soca, Delroy Fireman Hooper, was also not present at the prize-giving ceremony. Vincy Mas 2023 will be held from June 30th to July 11th. Larissa Pugsley-Kidd, SVG TV News.
And in an interview with SVG TV News, Keith Grabber Finesse Charles said that he is currently preparing quality music for Vincy Mas 2023. Charles, who on Saturday collected his trophies and prize money for placing 2nd in the National Soca Monarch competition and 3rd in the Road Match competition 2022, said he is grateful, though it was a long wait.
Man, we should have received the award long time, man, you know what I mean? But it's still a blessing still to receive the award, you know, for my people, for my fans, you know what I mean? For God, basically number 1, you know what I mean? Small Nation fully.
Okay, so what are your plans for this year?
My plans is always to put the country forward, number 1. That's the number 1 priority, you know what I mean? And to make good music for my fans, them this year, you know what I mean? And make everybody proud.
Okay, so you're already preparing yourself with your music and stuff?
Yeah, I'm already preparing for Vincy Mas 2023. I don't have about 5 songs recorded. I'm going, you know. So it's a good look.
Okay.
But I don't, you know, once you can reach, you know, the sky is the limit, you know what I mean? Once you're out there and you want to do music, just do it, man. Be like Grabber Finesse, I'll be even better. Money Nation fully.
And King of the Road for Vincy Mas 2022, Kemi Christopher, said that he is pushing this year to retain the title and to take the Soca Monarch crown.
We feel good, Cause it's been June, July, August, September, blah, blah, blah. It's been a while, so we feel good, To see that we collect our prizes to the trophies, everything to the.
Okay, so that's the new year, right? So what are you hoping to achieve this year?
A repeat of this, get a bigger one in this competition. This is the Soca Monarch one here, and this is the Road March here, so we're planning for bigger, better things this year. We've been producing music since before Carnival started last year. We've been producing music while there was Carnival. We've been producing music after Carnival, so yeah, we'll be releasing music pretty soon though. Pretty soon, maybe before the end of the month, the first week in February, but we produce, yeah, things coming. Well, to the youths out there who want to get in the entertainment business, it's hard work, it's dedication, and you have patience. You must have patience like we did for 6 months. You must have patience, all right?